you shall teach them diligently, diligently, to your children, to your children, and shall talk.
Hi everyone. Hi Carolyn. How's it going? Okay, so last week we learned about Jesus who calls the disciples. So if you remember, disciples are those that follow Jesus and submit to his authority, which means Jesus is in charge and we listen to him, doing as he does. But who made Jesus in charge? Where did he get that from? Well, Jesus came from God. He's the Son of God, and so he has authority just like God. And Jesus showed everyone this authority by calling the 4 fishermen, who, by the way, they left everything to follow Jesus. And Jesus also taught in the synagogue, and he drove out demons. And so we know that if we're Christians, we are to follow Jesus too, just like the fishermen. So this week, we're going to learn about the centurion. Now, this was a Roman soldier, and Jesus praised his faith. So you see, Jesus was demonstrating the authority he had, and he was proving that he was the Messiah. But the Jews had a hard time believing this because they kind of had their own idea of what the Messiah would be like. And the Jews looked down on people who were not Jews, people like the Gentiles. And Gentiles were people like this Roman soldier, the centurion. But Jesus has compassion, and he feels sorry for those that are hurt or suffering. And he has a lot of love and cares for all who come to him in faith, no matter if they're Jew or not. And when we have faith, we trust Jesus to show things like compassion and love. And in this story, we learn about a centurion, the Roman soldier, who had this faith. And so he came to Jesus for help, even though he wasn't a Jew.
Thank you, Sarah. That brings us to our next point, that faith understands authority. And whose authority are we talking about? We're talking about Christ's authority. Oh, hello, centurion. Hello, soldier. As Sarah mentioned, a centurion was a Roman soldier who was in charge of 100 soldiers. And he had the authority to tell a soldier to go, and to come here. The soldiers would follow the centurion's every command, and Jesus also had such authority. Jesus taught with authority, and he showed his authority over sickness and demons, and he would even show his authority over death. The centurion had faith that if Jesus simply spoke the words, his servant could be healed while laying in the bed at home. And so Jesus marveled at the centurion's faith. Jesus said that he had never met anyone in Israel with such a strong faith. What a wonderful example of how much faith the centurion had and how he understood Jesus's authority.
Yes, thank you so much, Carolyn. That brings us to our next point, which is faith and faith alone. So it is likely that Jesus' praise of centurion's faith upset many of the Jews listening to him. But what he said next offended them even more. Jesus declared that Gentiles, like the centurion, would enter kingdom of heaven. But many Jews would not. It was shocking news to the Jews since they believed they were guaranteed a place in God's kingdom just because they were Jews. Their father was Abraham, and just like a heirloom is passed from grandparents, they thought that they get kingdom of heaven the same way, that it's inherited for them. Most Jews did not expect Gentiles to enter the kingdom of God, even though the scriptures predicts this. But what is the kingdom of God? It presently exists in God's rule over hearts of Christians. However, in the future, this invisible kingdom becomes visible when Jesus returns. Everything lost through Adam's disobedience will be restored. There will be no more sin, no more tears, no more curse, no more death, and no more sickness, just like Centurion's slave is sick right now. And there will be a great feast. But the best part of all of it, that we will always be with God. We will live and belong completely to him, shining with him in glory. When we enter God's kingdom, we will finally be what we were made to be, living where we were made to live, doing what we were made to do. The Jews assumed that automatically they qualified for the kingdom. They were, after all, sons of the kingdom. But while God has not completely rejected Israel, he cursed and cast out any individual, even Israelite, who refuses to trust in his salvation. Unfortunately, even though Israel had more opportunities to respond to the truth than any other nation, God's chosen people were faithless from the very beginning. And apart from faith, even the sons of the kingdom will be cast out from God's kingdom. It is likely that many who heard Jesus speak that day wondered what right he had to say such things. But Jesus proved his authority by instantly healing Centurion's slave. In the process, Jesus also proved Centurion's faith. Go, let it be done for you as you have believed. In other words, Jesus did exactly what Centurion believed he could do. While faith was something involved in Jesus' healing, other times it was not. Jesus' words to Centurion are not a universal promise to all believers, since God often allows even faithful believers to suffer, to be sick for their own good. But what can we believe in this? He will make all the pain totally worth it. So, do you believe? How would Jesus respond to your faith? Would he marvel like he did with Centurion? Do you believe that Jesus will have compassion on all those who come to him? Have you submitted to Jesus' authority? Do you believe that the reward being with Jesus in his kingdom is worth it? Do not be like the people in Jesus' hometown who knew him well but still refused to believe in him. Instead, trust in Jesus, for he alone has both authority and compassion to save. Now back to Carolyn.
Thank you, Lana. That wraps up our lesson for today, but I wanted to highlight some fun things that we have on this website. If you click on the activity pages below, you can print out this color by number Centurion and color it like I did here. Hearing about the Centurion's great faith may also make you want to dress up like Ryu and Evan did today. So go ahead and do that as well. And for you older kids, there in the activity link as well, there is this hidden message word search. Okay, so go ahead and you highlight all the words down below. After that, let me say that the words are backwards and forwards and diagonal. Once you find all those words, there's a hidden message in it. If you look at all the unhighlighted letters, it spells out a message that you can write down here, okay? So have fun with that. And also there are links for the coloring page or family devotions. That's all for today. Have a wonderful week.
You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house,